A Hungarian physicist named Leo Szilard came up with the idea of creating an atomic bomb. Szilard went to his professor Albert Einstein with a letter written to President Roosevelt, asking Einstein to sign it, so the letter could be sent to the president. The content in the letter was urging the president to build an atomic bomb. President FDR accepted Szillard's request so the U.S. can run its experiment. The Manhattan Project was an operation run by the U.S. to create an atomic bomb, and if successful, they would use this weapon on Nazi Germany. The Manhattan Project began in August 13 of 1942. The executive director of the project was General Leslie R. Groves, and the scientific director of the project was J. Robert Oppenheimer. President FDR died on April 12, 1945. Vice President Harry S. Truman was then appointed to become President of the USA. A month later, President Truman had made an announcement to say that Germany had surrendered to the United Nations in May of 1945. He also added that the rest of the war was only to deal with Japan. He said that he would not give up until Japan gave its unconditional surrender. It just so happened that on July 16, 1945, the world's first atomic bomb had been successfully tested in Alamogordo, New Mexico. President Truman decided that the atomic bomb made afterward would be used on Japan. The Little Boy and the Fat Man were the nicknames of the atomic bombs that hit Japan. The Little Boy was made out of uranium-235, and the Fat Man was made out of plutonium. The Little Boy's explosive power was equivalent to 12,500 tons of TNT, but weighed only 9,700 pounds. The Fat Man's explosive power was equivalent to 22,000 tons of TNT. Colonel Paul Tibbets, the commander of the 509th, was informed that he would be the one to fly the B-29 plane that would drop the Little Boy atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Major Charles Simi was the pilot who flew the boxcar plane which dropped the Fat Boy atomic bomb on Nagasaki. On August 6, 1945, at 8:16 a.m., the Little Boy atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 80,000 people were killed in the explosion. 35,000 people were injured. 60,000 more people were to die by the time the year ended. About a 5 square mile was reduced to ashes. The Japanese ceased to surrender, so Truman sent the second bomb. On August 9th of the same week, the Fat Man atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki at 11:35 a.m. This bomb killed between 60,000 and 80,000 people. Although this atomic bomb was much stronger than the Little Boy, this bomb was dropped in the area that had mountains and valleys containing the bomb's force. After the Fat Man hit Nagasaki, Japan finally gave its unconditional surrender, which led to the end of World War II.
I can't remember where I was when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. But it was soon after, whenever we started to learn about it. And I think that there was great relief because the Japanese had been our enemy, and we hadn't forgotten Pearl Harbor and all the other battles along the way. And so I think there was general relief, not knowing the devastation it caused and the lives that it took. But yes, that was the emotion that I felt anyway. I had a young family at the time, and so I was naturally a great interest and concern about what was going on in the world.
Even if a person were to survive the physical damage of an atomic bomb, damage from radioactive debris would eventually lead to damage. Many of those who survived the bombs were diagnosed with cancer, tumors, or cysts. The radiation also caused abnormal tissue growth. Most offspring of those who survived the bomb were born with abnormalities such as deformed bones, blindness, deafness, lung issues, and etc. On August of 1949, the Soviet Union detonated its first atomic bomb at Semipalatinsk test site in Kazakhstan. This event ended America's monopoly of atomic weaponry and launched the Cold War. The Americans and the USSR began to race. In 1952, the Americans tested its first hydrogen bomb, beating the Russians in creating the super bomb. Eventually, all the tension between America and Russia led to the Cuban Missile Crisis. In SALT, the USSR and the US signed the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. The treaty included regulations of anti-ballistic missiles that could possibly be used to destroy incoming intercontinental ballistic missiles launched by other countries, and limited each side for launching ABMs. SALT I started in November 1969 to January 1972 and was signed by President Nixon on May 26, 1982. In late 1982, negotiations for SALT II began and went on for 7 years. On June 18, 1979, President Jimmy Carter signed the SALT II Treaty. SALT II Treaty set more regulations on different missiles, and each side was limited to more than 24,100 weapon systems. Today, we as Americans have been threatened by Iran. There are many incidents involving us being threatened by Iran with atomic bombs. Treaties such as the START Treaty, which means Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, are examples of modern-day treaties. This is a treaty between the U.S. and Russian Federation. President Barack Obama had recently signed this treaty. The creation of atomic bombs led to a lot of nuclear-powered objects we have today.
In talking about the history of the atomic bomb, it seems to me that in my life it was of interest the creation of it, how hard the scientists worked to create it, and how some of them were admonished, according to my understanding of history, to stop work on creating it because it was so monstrously damaging. And then, as to the use of it, I just happened to be with the United States Army on the island of Guam, which was one of the Marianas, and one of the other islands was Tinian. And Tinian is where the takeoff point of the atomic bomb when it was dropped in Hiroshima. And when that happened, one of the beneficial effects of the war ended right away. And that interested me because there I was in Guam, soon to be going to be stationed in the Philippines, getting closer to where the fighting was still going on up north. And then the effect of the atomic bomb for generations, which I think is still here, such that the actions of a single small nation like Iran in fooling around with trying to become an atomic bomb nation is disturbing the whole world. And I think the word came to me that it's enigma as to whether or not it might have been better if it had never been created, or in a way because of mutual mass destruction. It may be that the atomic bomb stems some horrible wars. The enigma is it certainly doesn't stop wars because of the nothing but wars since World War II ended, which was also a happy day for me. I was in the Army for 3 years, thought I was never going to get out, and I've been out for 70 years. I'm glad to be here.